So, John, tell me more about your bike probs.
Shut up. Shut up.
What's the brand of bike?
I said the condition was that anyway. It's
How do
this
you
Cannondale
pronounce
bike.
the letters BMX?
Shut up. So when I had to
my
replace my,
BMX, pop a wheelie.
I don't want to be
What if I
I don't want
just
to be the guy at
summoned
the gym.
angels?
Anyway, it's just that most products you can just go and buy them at a place. But for some reason with bikes, it's supposed to be like a treasure
Question.
hunt.
Is it just the issue that you haven't thought about calling the bike shop?
No. It's not, yes, I get that I can phone a bike shop. I get that. And I can phone all of the bike shops, and I can do that every day. And I don't want to have to do that. When I replace my
have
phone,
you tried
I
it
didn't
once?
do that. What's
Have
that?
you tried it once?
I have gone on the website of a few of them
So,
a few
John,
times.
just let me tell you something. This, in my experience, not about you, but this is about people who have been assistants at talent agencies and people who haven't been assistants at talent agencies. As an assistant at a talent agency, you realize you just need to call someone, because the odds are that when you call, like actually reach out and do it,
Yeah.
you're going to call a person who owns a bike shop. And the person
Yeah.
who owns the bike shop is either going to proudly say that they have that bike or
Mm-hmm.
explain to you every reason why they haven't gotten that bike yet.
But I don't want a reason. I want to know how to get it.
So tell you who can get you that bike. Like, bike shop owners are freaking awesome.
That seems probably true, but I just don't get why there's not like a big bike shop that has the bikes. Like, why do the bike shops have no bike? Is that because of us, the consumers? There's not enough demand for them to stock them?
Odds are they. This is such a frustrating conversation.
That's why I didn't want it to be now. I didn't want this.
You're the reason. It's not the timing.
Mm-hmm.
It's you.
I love synergy. Welcome, everyone, to a Friday edition of the Damage Report. We are just days, indeed, we can start saying hours out from the election. In theory, we were always hours out, but it was a lot of them. It's less now, and it's coming up in just a few days. This is one of our last days of news coverage before the big day, and I am blessed to be joined by Brett Erlich. Brett, how's it going?
Don't sound so excited about it, John. Jesus. It's going fine.
Yeah.
You asked, I answered. You're the host. Ask another question. I'll answer that one too.
What shows do you host for? Like, I want to give you the opportunity to let people know about the stuff you're doing today.
Okay, so here's in all honesty, first of all, people who missed game night last night missed out on an epic experience where I mean, we were afraid that John and Anna would not have a chance to be the imposters in Among Us, but we did get that glorious experience. And it was fantastic. So thank everybody for watching us on that. And then tonight, after main show, it is after TYT, I'm doing a happy half hour with Jason Carter. We do some amazing fun. We play some amazing fun games. And then later tonight, it is common room time with myself, my lovely wife, the Brookmarks, John Iadarola, and Australian progressive Twitch star Pixel Smixel. So please.
That sounds awesome.
And we will be in costume.
And maybe. I'm glad that you reminded me of that, because I keep forgetting that I'm doing that. But anyway, very excited.
You guys should come over and I don't know, like we'll socially distance outside and squirt alcoholic, hand sanitizer at each other or whatever people do in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
And
you should still do that.
Wife was just like, "You're on common room tomorrow," and John's like, "That's right."
Why not both?
After.
Why not both?
¿Por qué no los dos?
Anyway, okay, so I will try to remember that. Everybody, game night was super fun. The video is up if you want to watch the whole thing. If you can't, just watch the end. The last match was a fun one. But anyway, thank you to everybody who's already watching, whether on YouTube, Twitch, whatever, members. How's it going?
Thanks to all of our Quibi viewers, to be honest.
Thank you to all of our Quibi viewers. Oh, no, the Quibi stream's already over, unfortunately. But anyway, thank you to everybody for watching. Very excited to have you here. Thank you to Obi-Mom Kenobi, who already has gifted 50 tier 1 subs over on Twitch. My
Well,
God.
we don't do this enough. Here's what my criticism of myself when Obi-Mom uh donates what Obi-Mom donates. I need to take this much time to express my appreciation for Obi-Mom, for the leaps and bounds. There should be an Obi-Mom lightsaber. The Force is with her. That's all I have to say. I'm not good at expressing genuine feelings. This is what it looks like. It's a lot of hands. But thank you, Obi-Mom.
This is, to be fair, this is exactly how he did his vows. Anyway, so really fast forward in the news, because we're going to do that regardless of Brett's attempts to make sure that doesn't happen. I did want to let you know about one thing, because we had people asking. We've recently launched Dragon Squad and Damage Report shirts and other things at Shop TYT, including today a tote bag, as well as new colors of the Dragon Squad shirt. Still Red Dragon, but different colored shirts, which are awesome. And I had told you that the Damage Report shirt became very quickly the best-selling shirt on Shop TYT. And there was follow-up questions about, well, how is the Dragon Squad shirt doing? And here is the thing. As of right now, the Dragon Squad shirt is, as of this morning, 4 shirts away from being the second best-selling shirt on the shop. So if we can get 5 people during this show to go to Shop TYT and buy the Dragon Squad shirt, the Damage Report and Dragon Squad shirts will be the 2 best-selling shirts of the entire year on the shop. And that might be enough to get Jank to finally understand what Dragon Squad is. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
At a certain, it's not that it is what it takes him to understand it. It's what takes him to admit that he understands it. Also, the hype train is at level 5, 1200%.
What? Okay, thank you to everybody who did that. Now, that said, later on the show, we're going to be giving our garbage people of the day. Should be a lot of fun, but we've got some news to get to before that. So everybody, again, like the stream, share it so people know we're live. And with that, why don't we jump into our first story? Donald Trump woke up this morning and began tweeting like a madman. Almost exactly like a madman, actually. It was weird. Take a look at one of his tweets. This is going a step further in his basically promising that the Supreme Court is, in his mind, what's going to determine the outcome of this election, not all of you voters, you voters in a democracy. He tweeted, "If Sleepy Joe Biden is actually elected president, the 4 justices plus 1 that helped make him such a ridiculous win possible would be relegated to sitting on not only a heavily packed court, but probably a revolving court as well. At least the many new justices will be radical left." And so I think what that's supposed to be is a threat to the Supreme Court justices, you know, the supermajority of conservatives that we have, that if they don't give him the election, they will be made inconsequential because the court will be reformed. I think that's a fair interpretation, right, Brett?
It is a MC Escher painting of weird deflection and invective. It is. So the normal basic Trump attack is, if Sleepy Joe Biden wins, it is some kind of electoral anomaly. Basically, there is corruption in the way they counted votes, or in the police, and normally his counter argument to that is, at least I gave you the justices. But now he is so afraid he's going to lose, and he is so afraid that those justices will have no actual way to even simulate a legal standing for Trump's victory. And I'm not saying that this will happen, but he's afraid that he will lose by so much they won't even be able to glom together a bunch of crappy reasons that it's illegal that Biden won. And so now all he has left to do is scare voters into thinking that 4 justices isn't enough, or 6 justices isn't enough. And so now he scared them into thinking that Biden will create a 50-person panel of Supreme Court justices, 41 of whom are newly appointed AOCs in his mind, which, when you say that to his base, that is the boogeyman.
So you do think it's more targeted at his base rather than, like, he's not warning Clarence Thomas. I feel like that's a warning to Amy Coney Barrett. Like, you just got on the court. Do you want to be irrelevant?
But
I know it's a lifetime appointment. No, I understand that. It's a lifetime appointment, but it's saying if you don't give this to me, sure, you'll still be on there, but you're going to be in the super minority because of all these new radical lefties. They're going to put Ilhan Omar's uncle on or something.
Well, I think that the current justices who have gotten there are skilled political climbers, if not skilled actual justices. Because as we just know, we just found out Kavanaugh had to correct his recent decision about Pennsylvania or Minnesota or one of those, because or North Carolina, one of his recent decisions.
I think it was
Wisconsin, because he got it wrong, because he was factually inaccurate. It was sloppy.
Yeah.
He said that Vermont didn't change its laws in response to the pandemic, but they actually did. Like, it is sloppy, but they are skilled political climbers, so they know the actual danger they might be in of any of this happening, and they know that Joe Biden isn't necessarily is absolutely not the most progressive candidate that the Democrats had on offer. Far from it. And he's probably not going to pack the court that way. They're skilled political climbers like Trump, and Trump has no problem throwing everyone under the bus. Trump, if he loses, will have no power to get rid of her anyway, or them anyway. This is just Trump's attempt. The one instinct he has is to blame everyone else for all of his failures. And this is blaming all the people at the same time for all of his failures.
Yeah. Well, maybe we disagree about what that tweet was targeted at, but there were a lot of tweets. I'm not going to read them all, but there were a few that I think were intended as like a pitch to his voters, like Second Amendment or Supreme Court. Those are the whole tweets. I like, is that a reminder of the things he's done, or are those his two solutions to the majority of the vote going against him? I don't know. But he's on one. And I think he's worried about what's going to happen next Tuesday. But we all should be. Now, a lot has been going on when it comes to the election, including some good news if you're one of the crazy lefties that think a lot of people voting is good for a democracy. Take a look at this amazing news coming out of Texas.
Breaking news this morning, the Texas Secretary of State's office is reporting that more than 9 million early ballots have been cast, more votes than were cast in all of 2016. This comes as the Biden campaign is taking aim at the Lone Star State. Running mate Kamala Harris will visit the state today on the final day where early voting is taking place, making stops in Fort Worth, McAllen, and Houston.
Okay, so they apparently are going to be going, which is what we've been asking for a couple of weeks now. And by the way, we don't know. Texas could still very well go for the GOP. We don't know what the increased turnout means necessarily, but the fact that they've already before Election Day passed the number of votes cast in 2016, that objectively, I think, should be one of the things we hope for in a democracy, that people actually feel like they should vote. And at least in Texas so far, it looks like that's actually happening.
Yeah, it's always a good thing to see more people voting. But there are states, I know Texas is Texas, but right now, Democrats or Texas Republican Dan Patrick is saying that is already like trying to counterbalance all that stuff with all the things that are in line with what we just talked about. Trump saying they're echoing it. They're all laying the groundwork. There's still this situation where in Texas counties, you can't drop off your ballot at more than one place. So the fact that people have overcome all this, the fact that they have received all these ballots in time, does not mean that all the ballots that were sent in time will be received in time. If not in Texas, then everywhere else. Basically, what I'm trying to say is don't take anything for granted. Everything Trump has done has been laying the groundwork to pounce on any ambiguity or perceived ambiguity about the election results. He wants to stop counting the ballots before people, even in a non-coronavirus election, stop counting the ballots. He wants to stop basically at midnight on election night, even if things were received on election day or postmarked in time. He's got the court set up. He is crying foul on the concept of mail-in voting. So the one way to be safe is to get out there and vote more. Make it not even close. Run up the score. Do everything you can, because in the last as John has pointed out, they weren't necessarily outside the margin for error in all these polls last go around, but it was at the bottom of the margin of error. Don't make it close. Don't make it close. Don't cruise, as my JV basketball coach used to say. Get out there and vote.
Yeah, to give you an idea of how much he's tweeting, I was trying to find a tweet that I saw earlier, and he's tweeted so much that it took me a long time. So the Supreme Court, obviously, in the Wisconsin case that Brett was talking about, decided if you, through no fault of your own, sent in your ballot, you might have sent it 10 days before the election day, but it didn't arrive until after, because despite the fact that this is America and we're rich and all that, our mail just doesn't work because it's been decimated. They're not going to count your vote. They're just not going to. But to be fair, the Supreme Court has also rejected a bid from Republicans to block the extension of North Carolina's extension for absentee ballots. So there will be this period of up to 9 days after Election Day that, as long as it was postmarked by Election Day, it can still be received and counted, which, unless you only look at every bit of news purely from the point of view of how does this affect my team's chance of winning, that seems eminently reasonable. It was postmarked before Election Day. It should be counted. And the Supreme Court, I'm giving them credit, have ruled the right way. Now, I believe in that case, as in a few others, these ballots that come in later that are going to be counted are still being separated from other ballots. So hypothetically, if there were future challenges, those could be taken out later if something happened. That's now a fear in a couple of different states where those are going to be sort of separated. So bear that in mind. But Texas is having a lot of voting. I believe that the country as a whole has already surpassed the total number of votes. I think I read that today, but we're definitely seeing it in other states. In Montana, for instance, they, as of yesterday, were at 97.22% of their 2016 total. And interestingly, it's not just that a lot of people are voting, but hopefully, based on the data we're seeing, certain types of people that are low propensity voters in most elections are as well. A poll released Monday by Harvard University's Institute of Politics surveyed 18 to 29-year-olds and found that 63% said that they would definitely vote in the election, which is the highest proportion of respondents in 20 years that the poll of young voters has been conducted. It's way higher than 2016, when it was about 47% said they would definitely vote. And what's interesting is that, of course, like, what does it mean to say that you're definitely going to vote when a lot of people have already voted? I think that number is both more is not just higher, it's also more reflective of reality because more people are voting early. And we have in that group more than 6 million voters had already cast their ballot. In 2016, at this point, it was at 2 million. So
I mean, yeah. That's a ridiculous. You don't come on now. That's a
come on. What?
I mean, there wasn't a pandemic last time. I hate all these stats that are like, more people are voting early this time. It's like, obviously, the stats we do need to pay attention to are the ones that are, yes, there are more people who have already voted this time than voted in the entirety of the last election. That's the stuff I'll listen to.
Well, we have that.
But that, no. I'm just saying, like, fine. You just gave me two stats. I said what I prefer to listen to over the other one.
Take them all.
All right.
Take them all.
Cool. I'll just sit. I'll just
sit.
Like
the whole package?
No. I'll text
be there.
my friends.
Okay. Okay. Little bit of additional news just to sort of close off the circle with Donald Trump. This is news that probably doesn't mean anything, but I think it's interesting. Well, Brett, you already reacting quite a bit. I haven't said what it is. What?
I know, but it's like, this doesn't mean anything. That's the damage report. The damage report. News that doesn't mean anything. That's what it sounded like. And you're like, and we'll be back after this.
No, it's the damage report. News that probably doesn't mean anything. Because we don't want to speak definitively. But anyway, here's the thing that probably doesn't mean anything. President Trump has called off plans to appear at the Trump International Hotel on election night and is likely to be at the White House instead, according to a person familiar with the plans. Advisors had said privately that Mr. Trump was going to appear at his namesake hotel in Washington for an election night party, for which his campaign had sent out multiple fundraising solicitations to his supporters. A spokesperson for Mr. Trump declined to comment about that. So they were going to have this party. Now they're not having the party on election night. It could be nothing. It could mean something. I don't know.
Their internal polls are probably bad. And that is a lot of the reason why Trump is doing what he's doing. But that's because there's so much uncertainty around whether, after 2016, when everybody thought that Trump was going to lose and Trump ended up winning, there's so much uncertainty. That's what the anxiety is. That's why I'm a nightmare to be around right now. Like, I wake up instantly. When I wake up too early in the morning before my alarm, I start panicking immediately. And that's because it's that feeling of like, I don't know what to be certain about. And that was this nebulous idea before, because it's just, all my instincts are a little off. I'm not sure in this social media environment whether I'm just in a bubble or not. But there wasn't like an impending moment where we would have actual tangible data about it.
Yeah.
But that is 4 days away now. And
Yeah,
I
I wonder.
nightmare.
What I'm wondering is, I don't know how much you're going to be at the studio on election day. Are you going to be at the studio at all?
Not at all. Not on the list of people allowed to come in this. I mean, I would have been if I wanted to, but I like it here, John.
Yeah, I want to check in with you every once in a while, and I want to see how you're doing, because I'm going to be a basket case, and I'm probably going to be pretty drunk by early afternoon. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
I don't know what you're going to be. I want to be. I feel like that's a good idea.
I have to produce a good number of those hours, John.
That's true. And don't produce too much because, as I said, I'm going to be drunk. Yeah, I'm really worried about, like, I keep telling people to take with a grain of salt the early results, because in different groups of states, later results are going to swing them in different directions. But really, I'm mostly worried about myself, about getting caught up in the moment. And I'm really worried about that. Yeah. But I'm worried about other things too, and we'll turn to those in a moment. But before we do, let's read a few super chats, comments, and tweets and all of that. First super chat today comes from Amy Beecroft, who says, I did my part, volunteered for candidates, called a million peeps, petitioned, brought people to vote, registered people to vote, and voted myself. Yeah, but what have you done for us lately, Amy? No, that's awesome. Thank you for your service and for helping other people, especially, to do this as well. It's work that is very important and doesn't get enough recognition. So thank you for that. Anna Jackson says, John and Brett, as a Dragon Squad member, I demand a Halloween memory from both of you before the real election day nightmare begins. Brett, what's a Halloween memory for you?
Here's the one that came to mind. When I was probably 8 years old, and my Halloween costume I wanted to have was a ninja. And we had it. And on the day of school, when you come in a costume, I went as a ninja. And I'm like, I'm going to be a ninja on Halloween. But my mom had bought me a giant pumpkin costume. My brother was Sherlock Holmes. My brother was Sherlock Holmes. And I was like, all right, fine. At school, people will just think about it. And then there I went trick-or-treating on Halloween. And David from school comes walking down the street. And there I am, just this giant, stupid pumpkin. He saw me. And he's like, you're not a ninja. And I was like, no, I'm a pumpkin.
No, dude, what you should have said is, a ninja hides in plain sight. And with all this decor, pumpkin.
So ridiculous.
Anyway, mine is a happy Halloween memory. When I was in like second grade or something, we took Halloween really seriously at my elementary school. There was always a little parade and everything. And I wanted to be a werewolf. And my mom made this werewolf costume where she took some really old jeans and an old hoodie, and she made rips in it all over and had fur coming from inside to out of the rips. Dang. And as a little kid, I thought, my mom is like better than the Hollywood like prop and costume makers. This is the coolest thing ever. I felt like a real werewolf, and that feeling has never gone away. Okay, Miss Callie, thank you for your super chat. Let's see. Dondre Hendrick says, is that Among Us available to watch somewhere? I believe it's available to watch at twitch.tv/TYT if you go to the clip section. I was watching it earlier today.
I think you have to be a sub to watch the VOD.
You probably have to be a subscriber, but it is available. Let's see. Sullivan says, I missed the live show Wednesday, but please tell Emma that her saying, that's what you guys call John, that's gross, was one of the highlights of the pandemic. It was a super chat about Dragon Papa, I remember. That was a great. Thank you. I'll tell her that. Forrest Dudley says, John, I'm on the board of a foundation that gives grants to progressive groups every year, and I'd like to sponsor TYT. What would be the best way to get in contact with you guys and begin that process? Hashtag who is Dragon Mommy? Well, my wife is probably Dragon Mommy. In terms of the contacting, Brett, do you have any ideas?
For what? I'm looking for this photo.
Contacting TYT about a potential sponsor?
Yeah, just yeah, I don't know. Sponsor. Send me a D, at me on Twitter or something, and I'll figure it
I
out.
would at Brett. Thank you, though. We do appreciate that. And one more for right now. There's more that we're going to be reading, but there was a big super chat from Franklin Sharpslicer who says, gorgeous garbage and happy half-hour day to John, but Brett, I'm disturbed and must say, you have a Heine dryer on your bidet, while the rest of us bidetites have to whine and snivel and hope to God we do not dribble. Thanks, 'twas a fun game night.
Really, it's the second most expensive thing in the house besides the TV that I bought as soon as 4K came out and replaced the one that I had for 15 years.
Nice. Franklin, that was amazing. I still don't have 4K. Is it time? Is there stuff available in 4K?
Yes.
I don't know.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
I need it so I can have a better TV than you. Basically, is the only thing.
Well, you do. Don't worry about that. Thank you again for Obi Mom for those gift subs. Let's see. Telepanda says, good morning, Dragon Daddy. Good morning, Dragon Uncle. I believe it's Drunkle, actually, for Brett.
That's funny.
But thanks. And Woden Toad says, if John is the new MST3K host, would Brett be Tom Servo? I could see Brett being the host of that show at some point.
Crow. I know Joan. I used to work with Jonah Ray on the Rotten Tomato show. He's the new host. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, with that,
no. Before we go, John, really quick. I'm sorry, and I know it's just garbage time, sort of, but here, let me show you. Here it is. There I am.
Huh.
As a
big dumb pumpkin.
The big dumb pumpkin.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, there are your memories. Okay, now with that, let's jump back into the news.
Why not, really?
There we go. No, I wasn't going to do it until Brett acknowledged it. Brett, we have to turn our keys on this news shit. Anyway. Okay, to close out Stakes Week here at the Damage Report, I want to tell you about one more thing that's definitely at stake on Election Day, and that is the future of our fight against the climate crisis and the future of the environment. And while Donald Trump occasionally likes to pretend that he's into the environment, for instance, you might remember this video from a recent debate.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs.
Okay, so yeah, he'll talk about the Trillion Trees program or whatever. The reality is that even in this final run-up to the election, they have been making a number of different moves to despoil wilderness, kill species, and all of that. And I want to run you through just a little bit of that right now. And that also includes, as of just last week, it'll be legal for logging companies to build roads and cut and remove timber throughout more than 9.3 million acres of forest. This is in the Tongass National Forest. Featuring old growth stands of red and yellow cedar, Sitka spruce, and western hemlock. This new rule that was finalized states that it will make, quote, an additional 188,000 forested acres available for timber harvest, mainly old growth timber. And so, yeah, you've got your Trillion Trees program, but you're going to have to deduct a little bit because they're giving corporations the ability to come in and absolutely devastate this area. And it's an important area. For years, federal and academic scientists have identified Tongass as an ecological oasis that serves as a massive carbon sink. Its trees, some of which are between 300 and 1,000 years old, absorb at least 8% of all of the carbon stored in the entire lower 48's forest combined. Chief scientist with the Earth Island Institute's Wild Heritage Project, Dominic De La Sala, says, the Tongass is the lungs of North America. It's America's last climate sanctuary. And in just the last 2 weeks before the election, Trump is giving corporations the ability to go in and just tear it all out if they want and make a little bit of money off of it.
That sounds like a really nice guy. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like, logging companies essentially plan 60 years out to build different forests, and those go and typically, or like essentially it's like Christmas tree lots. Essentially, you plan it out so like that you offset what you're doing, and that is theoretically a nice cycle. Now, there's things that happen in the timber industry that actually, as much as they say, oh, we planned for 60 years out, let's say there's a blight, you're like, that is acres and acres and huge percentages of our national like ability to absorb carbon that just gets decimated. But over time, that kind of nets out because they plan for that theoretically as well. What they don't plan for is the elimination of old growth forest. That's new.
Nope.
That is psychotic, because that stuff, go find other lands to do that in, to the same way there's farmland for growing crops, do timberlands for growing and cutting timber. You don't need, there's a whole, and wear timberlands while you do it. Like, it'll be fun. You'll have a nice little outfit. but this is the kind of thing that is precisely the hyperbolic onion style headline that has just become pretty normal feeling in 2020.
Yeah. And look, that's potentially devastating. Hopefully, hypothetically, if Biden gets in, he can reverse that before too much damage is done, but God only knows. But it's not just that. You also have generally the Trump administration's complete hostility towards anyone who acknowledges science and, wants to have science, and the best science we have in the climate, the area of the climate crisis, to be driving our policy. They're hostile to that. So let me walk you through a little case study of that. Trump administration has recently removed the chief scientist at NOAA, the nation's premier scientific agency, and has installed political appointees known not for scientific expertise, but for loyalty to Donald Trump. And here's how that looks in practice. So you have an individual named Mr. McLean. He had sent some of the new political appointees a message that asked them to acknowledge the agency's scientific integrity policy, which prohibits manipulating research or presenting ideologically driven findings. So as a result of just saying, hey, could you acknowledge this sort of thing? It's like how, Brett, we get emails from Dave Kohler to acknowledge like new COVID like requirements for the studio. So he did that. And so one of the individuals, a Dr. Noble, said respectfully, by what authority are you sending this to me? Mr. McLean answered that his role as acting chief scientist made him responsible for ensuring that the agency's rules on scientific integrity were followed. So that would be the authority, as being the chief scientist. The following morning, Dr. Noble responded, you no longer serve as the acting chief scientist for NOAA. They've got a new one. Thank you for your service. So all the guy said was, can you acknowledge that we're supposed to let science drive our agency and not ideology? And he was fired, which does answer the question, just not in the right direction. It is clear what NOAA is going to be driven by going forward. So if that's what you want, in charge of agencies like NOAA, then, let Donald Trump get elected for a second term. That should work well for the climate.
It's so rough because he got fired because he sent an email saying, yeah, we're still science, right? We're still the science agency. We're still science. Dr. Noble. That is an insanely, that's, I just wonder if I died a while ago and this has all been some kind of weird lost style projection of reality, or I hate it. I hate it so much. But
I hate it too.
Yeah, he just essentially, there was a doctor, once again, someone doing their job in science. This isn't someone who is like working in the, I don't know, some kind of like transportation sector saying, man, this mask thing, coronavirus, right? And they're like, no, we just watched a train go off the rails, go back to your job. This is part of my job. This is a central responsibility of mine. And I just forwarded a terms of service, and rather than click yes, you threw your computer out the window.
Yeah, and by the way, we don't have time to get into it, but there was an executive order in the past week that changes some of basically the requirements before Donald Trump can dismiss a lot of different types of federal employees, and has made it effectively a lot easier to get rid of them without cause and replace them with political appointees that are chosen at will by the White House rather than through the normal in-agency process of vetting and all of that. So this case study, hypothetically, you could see hundreds, thousands of cases like this going forward. And, there's this change that they made that's going to remove protections for gray wolves. That's devastating. We unfortunately don't have time. But I think everybody is just so sick of all of these environmental regulations being wiped out, Donald Trump's no knowledge whatsoever approach to wildfires, the insane things he says about wind energy, his obvious climate denial, all of that is so frustrating that when the Biden campaign put out this ad, I thought pretty wise. So take a look at this.
All of this with the global warming and a lot of it's a hoax. It'll start getting cooler. You just watch. And I see again the forest fires are starting. I said, gotta clean your floors. I don't think science knows, basically. I'm an environmentalist. Some people don't understand that. I have done more. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this.
It really works with the big Biden smile after that ad.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I had not seen that ad yet, and that ad is fantastic. I think it is wildly effective. And it is, there's two reasons to vote against Trump. And some people only vote for one or the other. One is the actual policies, to work against what Trump is doing, which is the undoing of the fundamental processes that make this a democracy. And the other is Trump is just so exhausting and so obviously a demagogue and so obviously full of hot air and nonsense. And it's frustrating that he says lies and baseless, baseless statements that purport to be truth, and people believe them. And and if folks were just voting against Trump because of the latter, it wouldn't be a full justification for this kind of stuff. But because all of his policy positions, for the most part, most of his policy positions are to the detriment of what we fundamentally cherish about this country, it doesn't bother me when people are like, I just want him to shut up already. You know, like so often in the media, it is about like the look of someone, if he was taller on stage, if he was sweating or something, or the appearances, basically whether the person's the kind of person that you would expect to be a politician. But and it makes me mad when people focus too much on that. But in this situation, like those things he was saying, those blowhard moments are so detrimental from a policy perspective to what America wants to be, that if you're just voting to shut him up, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I thought it was a great ad. I mean, you could make that on so many different areas. You could do one of those about immigration, one of those about his statements about race. I mean, you could do a lot of those, and I think it would be great. And yeah, you're right that they're
I thought you were going to move on. Go ahead.
No, I agree. Like that there's that separation. The good thing here, though, is wanting him to shut up in this area, the stuff he says about climate. The thing is, the crazy beliefs he has about climate and the environment, they drive our approach to those topics. So opposing him in this, you get both, honestly. And I think that, that's awesome. Yeah, good ads. And I would love him to shut up. I saw an edit. It was like an op-ed or something. And it was, obviously we can lay out all of the different damage that Donald Trump and the White House has done and all of that over the past few years. But also just think about culturally what was lost by us as a country and much of the world spending half a decade thinking about Donald Trump all the time. Like just all the time and thought and energy that went into thinking about this former reality like TV guy. Like think about what could have been done, created, accomplished if we had spent that time literally any other way. And we're never getting that back.
Right. And there's this weird part of it. Like some people have said that I want someone different in the White House, someone completely different, because what's happening now is a mess. And that's not the whole argument. Different is just different. Different is not better. Someone who throws away norms and replaces them with new things isn't necessarily better. Those new normals have to be better. The way Trump upsets current norms and replaces them with other stuff is worse. So I'm fine for having a new kind of person in the White House generally. But I totally understand folks who are like, let's just get a warm blanket so that instead of like just something that we know is okay, a baseline of Biden, let's get back to somewhat normalcy, and then we'll try to find another way to make it better, because this way is headed so much worse, past the worst that we thought it could be, that that something needs to happen. I don't like, and then it's not just environmental issues. There is an article about the drawer full of immigration orders that Stephen Miller has drafted that as soon as that are too toxic now to put in place, because even though Trump ran on this wildly anti-immigration platform to begin with, that's mysteriously disappeared now because people are against it. That as soon as he gets his second term, and Miles Taylor also echoed this, as soon as he gets his second term, he's just going to open that, sign it, and we're going to be in this weird post-apocalyptic fascist state.
Yeah. And by the way, we might get a taste of that even if he loses and even if he steps down between election day and inauguration. I mean, hopefully we have a lot of very responsible people watching everything that every branch of the government does during that time, because there's going to be a lot of insidious stuff that they're going to try to do on their way out.
Obama went around and was like, Cuba, Iran. Like, he just did a bunch of stuff in his last little bit. It was his last year of office, his kind of bucket list. I'm terrified of what Trump's bucket list is.
Yeah. Okay, with that, let's roll right on through to our next story. Even more serious, potentially. AOC has once again pissed off the right, this time by wearing clothing that they don't want her to wear for a little bit while people took photos, and they're losing their minds about it. Here's an example. Lauren Boebert for Congress, talking about her photo shoot for Vanity Fair's cover for December. I wonder what brand of socialism allows you to get a $14,000 suit for Vogue photo shoots. It's Vanity Fair. See you soon, Alexandria. Looking forward to dismantling your socialist agenda in my finest Macy's clothes, like normal working people. You mean like the normal working bartender that she was, that every Republican has so much fun mocking her for having been? Can you decide which you hate her for? That she's a fancy person who has photographs taken of her, or because she worked at a bar? You seem to hate her simultaneously for both of those things, and that seems contradictory. But anyway, all throughout the right, the fact that she wore this outfit for this photo shoot made their heads explode. This other person, who I think is running against Rashida Tlaib, says, how many of our voters own a $14,000 outfit? AOC has fallen into the swamp. Well, probably about as many as people on that cover that own that outfit, because she doesn't own the clothes. She doesn't own the backdrop. She didn't own the camera that took the picture of it. That's not how any of this works, and we all already know that.
It's just fake. It's also, they did this once before already. Like, the last time she did a photo shoot in green, they had the same argument. And it's fine if someone does the same stupid thing and your argument last time was valid, so it's valid this time. But in that situation, the argument was absolutely false, baseless, and like willfully stupid, not even willfully ignorant. But they still bring it out. Who's it for? It's for people like it happened on Laura Ingram's show, and they just keep echoing it, because why wouldn't they? And their whole strategy is different from the Democratic strategy. The Democrat strategy, if you look at it, like, Biden just wrote an op-ed in Fox today, and he goes on local news broadcasts. He's airing the wildly vast majority of his ads on local news. Okay. That is an old strategy, and it's a tried and true strategy, theoretically, whatever. The new Republican strategy is to chuck as much money and focus into psychographically targeted social media bubbles, and then use the traditional media to just signal to those bubbles and channel people toward those bubbles, because wouldn't you know it, the same people who who own the local news channels, who own Fox News, and who own the tabloids associated with Fox News, also are coordinating with the Charlie Kirk type people, and keep getting busted for putting together these counter to terms of service syndicates of bot farms that retweet these same social media posts, and they get busted for it. It feeds to a base. It feeds to a base. The Democrats feed toward the middle. That's where their money goes. And so these are two strategies that are fighting for the first time, really, in electoral politics now. Last time it was more of a, people were convinced that Hillary Clinton was corrupt. Now they're trying to convince folks that Biden is corrupt, and it's not really sticking by and large.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's it.
Well, and I guess this is sort of what they're trying to do with her. They're trying to imply that she's in some way corrupt or hypocritical for temporarily wearing clothing for a photo shoot, which again, I mean, this is fake and awful and BS for like 10 simultaneous reasons. The first of all, that they already know that she doesn't actually own the clothing. The second, that if she did own the clothing, that they would actually hate that because they don't mind. Melania Trump has literally never worn anything that didn't cost $10,000. They don't have a problem with that. Now, they would then follow and say, well, yeah, but she's not a socialist and AOC is a socialist. But socialists don't believe that you shouldn't own nice things. They believe that setting up the economy in that way would actually make the average person better off rather than funneling endless billions of dollars to a handful of people. And it's also fake because not only do socialists not believe that you need to walk around wearing a barrel on suspenders with a stick and bindle, but if she were to wear a barrel on suspenders, they would hate her for that too. So it's fake and false and bad and awful in literally every way. But I want to give her a chance to respond because she did. AOC tweeted, Republicans are very mad again about my appearance. This time they're mad that I look good in borrowed clothes again. Listen, if Republicans want pointers on looking your best, I'm happy to share. Tip number 1, drink water and don't be racist, which I think is a great tip. That's what I was taught growing up. I support it. In response to Laura Ingraham tweeting, Laura Ingram's a host of a show, and she tried to make this a thing. She tweeted about AOC wearing the thing. AOC responds, 100% worth it, would do again. I don't even mind that she took my thing. I like it. Nice. AOC then said, and I don't know if you've been in a photo shoot, Laura, but you don't keep the clothes, which again, Laura already knows, but they are fundamental. They're just liars. They're just liars. And she finally said, the whole she wore clothes in a magazine, let's pretend they're hers gimmick is the classic Republican strategy of let's willfully act stupid. And if the public doesn't take our performative stupidity seriously, then we'll claim bias. GOP, get yourselves together. It's sad. It is sad. It's because it's so transparent. It's so fake. They don't have any standards for their people in the media.
It's so dumb. And when you know the history of attacks like this, it gets even dumber. Like it's like when someone says I could care less, they're kind of saying a statement that's an actual statement, like I couldn't care less, but they don't remember it right, so they say it in a way that's stupid. Like John Edwards had a crazy he got like a $250,000 haircut or something like that. And that was hypocritical. And he was a nightmare person. And they're trying to say that when Democrats have expensive stuff, that is a valid argument. But they don't remember the argument right, and they're using it wrong here, and it just comes off as stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, the willfully act stupid, and when they claim bias, that actually played out yesterday. The last week, there's been this hearing in the Senate where it seems like Donald Trump, seeing all the tides push toward Biden, but don't take it for granted, he then called on the senators to call a hearing to do this bias thing. And the fact is that Republicans absolutely, positively have more engagements online because of the bot farm stuff that I was talking about earlier. It has, and whenever they get called out for it or busted for it, they claim bias and call a hearing. And hopefully, the truth wins out, or at least a version of it that is somewhat. All we can hope for is it kind of resembles reality at this point.
Yeah. The whole thing, and the next time she does it, they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
She's literally never going to advocate for any policies nor say that people should have to wear, rags, like stitched together bark into pants. No, we don't believe that. We don't believe that at all. It's not even hypocritical. Jesus, people are stupid. And it seems like the more they get paid, the stupider they are, although the causality is probably in the opposite direction. They're all rich, all of them, all of these who, the whole thing is just so frustrating. Anyway, we're going to move on. I don't want to think about it anymore. So we're going to read some super chats, and let's see. Terry Clements with a big super chat saying, happy whatever. Well, thank you, Terry. Happy whatever to you as well. Thank you for supporting the show. Robert Schaefer says, just bought the t-shirt. Put a Shop TYT link on the TYT website, maybe somewhere, perhaps. Is there not a Shop TYT link on the website?
There's typically a a banner that goes by.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, well, thank you for that, and thank you for getting the shirt. There you can see the Dragon Squad, available in other colors as well, and hopefully coming soon, available in different dragon colors. We're going to have to see when that happens. Vixen says, my Dragon Squad shirts are ordered. Yay for payday. Thank you, Vixen. I appreciate that. I can't wait to see if after this, the Dragon Squad shirt will become the second best-selling shirt on the shop. I think that would be awesome. Stacy Wilson says, sending love from Wisconsin. I absolutely love TDR, and Fridays with Brett are my favorite. Thank you both for everything that you do and for providing us with so many smiles during these scary, scary times. Sincerely, thank you, Stacy Wilson. Thank you. Appreciate
And there
that.
is a Shop TYT banner at the top. It's just in the carousel. But yeah, I'll send that thing to the head of the website right now.
Thank you. And by the way, to the individual who messaged us earlier about trying to set up a sponsorship, Brooke in the Twitch chat says that if you can tweet at Brett your email address or potentially DM it, she can get you in touch.
Yeah,
So
tweet at me, and then we'll deal with it, because I don't want you just sending your you don't at Brett and then send your email address, which is hotsexyvixen at 69 at hotmail.com.
Oh my God. Okay, AN says, happy Halloween, guys. Does anyone else have a bunch of conservative friends that they are hoping will vote for Biden? I don't know. I have one of my closest friends is conservative, but not super into politics. So I never know how that's going to go. And we don't talk about it very much. That's the way that works.
I got Cuban friends who are voting for Biden. And we were on the phone with Brooke's friend from growing up for like 25 minutes to say, I'm going to help you feel good about voting for Joe Biden.
Nice.
We'll see how it goes.
Jim Morrison says if he wins by a large margin before mail-ins are counted, he'll have his rigged Supreme Court call it for him. And if he loses by a large margin, he'll call it invalid and have his court call it for him. Well, that's the strategy. We're going to have to see if it works. That does seem to be the strategy. And I feel like we've had as big of a head up as anyone has ever had for something like this. It has been projected to us for months now. Sean says, don't forget to like and share the stream. Aspiration, Too Strong Coffee, 2IT Go, because together we press on. Dragon Squad assemble. Brett, Donnie is scared. Hashtag fire breathers. Thank you.
That is like a, don't take this the wrong way, but that's like a Trump tweet in its ability to effectively message over and over again in a bunch of seemingly disjointed chunks.
Yeah. And then finally, for right now, Brian Stanley Media says, Dragon Master, I'm heartbroken my mom voted for low T a second time after convincing her little d is horrible. Good side, I just filled my ballot, voted Biden. We need a better America. Hashtag Dragon Squad. Brian, thank you. We might have lost your mom, at least temporarily, but we're glad to still have you. Sorry, your mom, I mean. And then finally, let's see. Over on Twitch, Telepanda says, Game Set John, what'd you have for breakfast today? Breakfast burrito? Waffles? Pop-Tarts? I need to know. Hopefully more than coffee. I would have loved a breakfast burrito. I had like a McMuffin, basically. And now I feel weird saying that. I feel very exposed saying what I had for breakfast. Brett, what did you have for breakfast? You don't feel weird saying, like, say you had a McMuffin. You won't feel weird? What is that, mango?
A bowl of mango and some yogurt.
Oh, man. Okay, well, that's a little bit healthier then.
I don't know if you can see it. Let me use it. I'll drop it out. I just wanted you to see it.
I don't think that's helping.
I feel like TOS there. I just terms of service myself off Twitch.
Oh,
I'm gonna eat yogurt.
By the way, we got a tweet at hashtag TDR Live from Naught who says, look at the second option when searching on Google for Shop TYT, and there's an attached photo. The second autocorrect is Shop TYT Dragon Squad.
Wow.
Jenk will learn.
For me, it's anyway. Discount code.
That's the first one in the photo.
Then that Dragon Squad. So good. Yeah. Good job, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to see one in the wild. I want to see a wild dragon. Anyway, okay. With that, we still have a few stories to get to, so why don't we jump into this next one?
John, out of context. I just want to see a dragon
in the wild.
I want to see a wild dragon. Make it end.
By the way, there was a reference. I just saw a super chat go by about the $14,000 suit, and I would have died if AOC had made some sort of Job reference.
Just look at in the
$14,000 suit. Come on. Come on, just. Anyway, okay, we're having too much fun. Let's talk about the news, Brett. We're gonna jump into this next story, and I'm gonna stop blushing and sweating. Anyway, when you finish a political debate, it can be difficult to know for sure who actually won. Maybe you look at sort of polls afterward and you try to see if they've shifted. But how could you possibly know for sure? You generally can't. 99.9% of the time you can't. I have a case, though, where you can. And that is coming from just a few days ago when Jon Ossoff debated Senator David Perdue of Georgia. They were going to have another debate, but now they're not going to because Senator David Perdue of Georgia has withdrawn on Thursday from the final debate in his tight re-election race. Maybe has something to do with the fact that Jon Ossoff's criticisms of him went crazy viral on social media. A spokesman for Mr. Perdue confirmed that he would not be at the debate and said in a statement that the senator had better uses of his time. Quote, as lovely as another debate listening to Jon Ossoff lie to the people of Georgia sounds, Senator Perdue will not be participating, but will instead join the 45th president, Donald J. Trump, for a huge get out the vote rally in Northwest Georgia. Yeah, he lost. He lost.
I have never in all my days seen that happen. I can't think of a time that, I mean, I'm sure it has happened, but not as publicly. Has a senatorial candidate so obviously gotten his ass handed to him on stage, only to then publicly admit in so many words that he got his ass handed to him so much that he is backing out of the next debate. Yeah. Like, does anyone believe him? Does anyone believe him? That moment, did you play it on the show yesterday?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. That moment, everybody needs to go watch it right now because it is just the moment when Ossoff looks at him and goes, it's not just that you're a crook. And to get that message, which is very clear to people that way, is fantastic and sadly so rare. It's so rare that someone can really articulate, listen, here's what's happening with the Senate. Because you already believe that the politicians don't care about you and they're just glad handing each other behind the scenes. But no, Perdue, he lied to you about coronavirus and then went and profited off of it. That's a twofer. And that's sad.
That is sad. Let's let people know exactly how. Mr. Perdue bought stock in DuPont, which sells personal protective equipment, on January 24th, the same day he received a classified briefing on the threat posed by the coronavirus. So he got a classified briefing. He went and bought stock to profit off of what he knew was going to be disastrous, and he went back to telling everybody that it was going to be fine, and he has done nothing to protect them. But the personal protective equipment that protects them, he has made some money off of that. He is a total crook, and that moment where Jon Ossoff is like just laying into him and he's just staring ahead. Like Jon Ossoff's face is right here looking at him and he's just staring into the camera, refusing to look at him, is so amazing. And to run for the hills, like Trump backed out of the second debate after the first one didn't go really well. But even that wasn't as clearly an admission of surrender as this. It's the day after that video went viral and he's pulling out. That is pathetic. And they can talk about how much they hate safe spaces as much as they want, but he is leaving a space that he apparently thought was going to be very threatening with Jon Ossoff to go hang out with Donald Trump and his fans. The ultimate warm blanket for a guy like David Perdue. Pathetic.
Yes.
Also, if I could speak for Anna Kasparian, considering the DuPont thing, prison. They should be going to prison. They should be going to prison, but unfortunately they're not.
It's so weird that they can go to buy stocks like that.
Yeah.
It's so
By the way,
weird.
Kelly Loeffler, the ultimate example of that. Did you see that about a day or two ago, she was asked about something about Donald Trump and the Access Hollywood tape, and she pretended she didn't know what the Access Hollywood tape was.
I mean, there's two explanations for that off the bat. I hadn't seen that, but there's two explanations. One, she's lying. Very obvious, very clear, very probable. The other is she doesn't know about it. And that backs up another narrative that's detrimental to Kelly Loeffler, is she was just an insulated rich person connected to the New York Stock Exchange. And she was appointed to that position. And maybe she doesn't know. Maybe she doesn't know anything about politics, or not even politics, news and the country and what's important to a lot of human beings out there who are more informed than a sitting Congress or the sitting senator.
Yeah, maybe. Both are sad. I think she's.
I mean, it's obviously she's lying. Obviously
she's lying, but yeah. Okay, so with that, Brett, how'd you like to have some fun? To the extent that talking about human garbage is fun.
Who wants to have? Are you just?
Are we ready? Wait, who's going
have
first?
Some fun, or do you really want to have some fun? I really want to have fun.
I'm just saying.
What is that from? Who wants to have some fun?
Oh, from Seinfeld. George was just saying he wanted to have some fun. Anyway, let's see if the audience got it before I did. Anyway, the first comment I see is from Let's Play, who says, Brett reminds me of Ryan Reynolds today. Okay. With that, we're going to have Brett go first. That makes sense?
Yeah, sure.
But I will launch us into that if you want to take my one shot. It's the end of the week, and so it's time to take out the trash. So we've got Trashy here. And by the way, I've noticed that on Twitch now, so there was already a garbage person emote, but now there's like a perfect Trashy emote that someone, I don't know who made it. I want to give them credit. Let me know in the chat.
Norma?
But anyway, it's the time where Brett and I and the audience nominate someone to be thrown into the garbage. Brett, who is your garbage person of the week?
All right. So my garbage person, I don't have a photo, but I do have a sword. And the reason I have this apparently Las Vegas sword that's actually a back scratcher is because the sword-wielding garbage person in Beverly Hills who stood on the corner of what I want to say is Big Santa Monica and intimidated voters who are trying to just drive by with a Biden sticker on their hubcap, on their bumper. This guy took it upon himself to be the chief a-hole and threaten her life. Go for it.
You now, your mother voted for Trump. Your mother loves Trump. I asked her. We got your plates. We got you. We know who you are now. You're going to vote for Trump whether you like it or not. You got no choice. You cannot resist Trump. We got you. We got you. I know. Hey, we got our place. Democrats, leave America for once.
What was that? I thought at first that the person was sort of joking, but was that person joking or crazy? It's not really easy to tell the difference.
And that's the point, I think. It is behind him is QAnon flag waving, and it's a confluence. It's the any and all strategy of Trump's messaging, I guess, where it's actual people who need help, nihilists who don't care, and folks like this who love attention and are emboldened by this situation. And somewhere in the middle, they get so unmoored from reality that they think this threat to someone's life is okay. And
that's a sword?
That's a sword. That's why I say he has a sword with Trump on the end of it. Like that's what it is. So he waves something at her, and it's literally a sword with Trump on the end of it, with a Trump flag.
Basically, my whole life, I've sort of nurtured a secret wish that we lived in a society where people still wore swords on the street, because I think that would be much cooler than guns. Guns are stupid. Swords are awesome. That makes me like it less. Yeah, and that's in LA, you said?
That's in Beverly Hills.
You just don't want it to be near you. But I've been to protests in LA, and these people, like, I know that we're polarized and tribal and all of that, but then there's also this other thing of people who have totally lost their minds and believe insane things. And that's why it seemed like the person was being cute, like, yeah, you're going to vote whether you like it or not. You can't resist Trump. But, like, for all I know, he's talking about what he thinks is some sort of dark psychic spell that's going to change all the libs' minds and something pedos. I don't know. It's scary to know that person is probably within 4 miles of me right now.
Yeah.
With his sword.
It's garbage. And I don't know. I've been going into some pretty dark recesses of the internet lately where people are trying to claim some kind of moral high ground in terms of free speech and what criticism is okay and what's important to criticize right now. And I think they would perceive me as like essentially attacking this guy and trying to cancel him. This is not cancel culture. This is my better speech against his worse speech.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the only thing to do is to call this out and to say that, like, if you follow QAnon conspiracy theories, I guess it's fine if you do it for fun. It's a hobby, and I know people who tweet about it and they don't take it seriously. They just think it's a joke and they think it's hilarious to be like a contrarian. And fine, that's not like the most terrible thing to do, but it's close. It's next to it. And I would just say, please take a little responsibility and keep it in perspective of all the other stuff that we talked about on the show today, which is the fundamental disassembling of the democratic process. So as much as Trump makes jokes and says all these terrible things and you try to laugh it off because you think it's funny and entertaining, the truth is, like, at the same time, he is actively working against what makes the America democracy and our legal systems, our court systems, all that. It sucks.
Yeah, and I agree. I have a relative who used to watch Alex Jones 98% just for fun because he's crazy and wacky or whatever. But those people are at a rally and they have a sword, and there's a good chance that there's at least one person in that crowd who wants to do something, you know? And there's millions total of people that believe that QAnon is like the most important thing that's ever happened in human history. And it's scary. It's scary. And it makes swords less cool. And I won't abide that. For my garbage person of the week, we have a classic case of like father, like son. And so today the son is going to be going in the trash. This is actually the son of the president. He put this video up of that perspective. I don't like it at all. That's not why he's going in the trash, but it should be enough by itself.
If you put the microphone up to that photo, you can just hear it go.
I'm doing all of my shows like this from now on. But anyway, while he looks like human garbage in that's not why he's here. He is because he is actually human garbage. And the most recent reminder of that is this video.
These people are truly morons. You know what I mean? And I like how they go after Scott Atlas because he's not an epidemiologist, but Sanjay Gupta now magically is. I mean, give me a break, Laura. The reality is this. If you look, I put it up on my Instagram a couple days ago because I went through the CDC data because I kept hearing about new infections. But I was like, well, why aren't they talking about deaths? Oh, because the number is almost nothing. Because we've gotten control of this thing. We understand how it works. They have the therapeutics to be able to deal with this. If you look at that, look at my Instagram. It's gone to almost nothing.
Okay, no. So the thing is, if you look at his Instagram, you will not see evidence that it's gone to almost nothing. You've seen evidence that he rests his phone on his belly as he films Instagram videos. You'll get that. But we decided that since he said that yesterday, we'd look at the actual numbers for yesterday and see whether the president's adult son has a point there. And it turns out he does not. That nobody that's being affected by coronavirus, no. There were 88.5 thousand cases, 46,000 people in hospitals, and the death toll reported yesterday was 1,049. Another day in a long string of days of more than 1,000 Americans dying in just a single day. If that graphic could have been from September or June or April, because 1,000 people have died on so many days, and Don Jr. coking his way through an interview isn't going to change that fundamental fact. Now, there have been some changes in terms of where people are getting sick. So there are some parts of the country where you should be much more on your guard than you probably are, because a lot of people don't seem to get that this is changing. But if you take a look at this, the number of people per capita hospitalized in the Midwest has now surpassed its own spring peak, as well as any time in the West. So you can see that the geographic nature of this thing That's changing. The fact that so many people are getting sick and hospitalized and indeed still dying, that has not gone away, no matter what Don Jr. wants to say.
There's so much amazing stuff in that video. First of all, how many times it's like so sad because how many times does he say, "Look at my Instagram, please look at my Instagram"? Eric was on Laura Ingraham the day before, going, "Yeah, no one's retweeting me anymore," and it's like, wow, it's interesting that when Twitter makes tweaks to the way that you retweet stuff, making it harder for bots, suddenly you're complaining about less engagements. Fewer engagements. Like, no, it's very obvious. And I do want to point out what he's wearing because he wears this on everything. That is, I don't know if it's a t-shirt, a fleece, and then, some kind of Team Trump jacket with his name on it.
Windbreaker?
I don't know if that's, first of all, you're in a studio. The only explanation I can come up with, there's two collars, right? Like, do you remember that old meme? Are you cool or are you 4 popped collars cool? He is 4 popped collars cool. And the two explanations are he's in a studio wearing a fleece under a jacket. Or
that's weird.
He has a fleece. He has a jacket where there is a Dickie style fleece built in and sewn into the underside of it.
I choose that. I choose that reality. He has a fleece sewn into his windbreaker.
Because he was wearing the same thing like 4 days. Like when I did the Sunday stream, he was wearing this exact outfit. And I thought it was like, all right, so today he's wearing one fleece under it, whatever. He didn't have time. But no, he has a lack of performance fleece on.
Oh, my God. Crimson Countess on Twitch says, members only half zip fleece. We need a Dragon Squad members only half zip fleece. But anyway, all of what you said is true. Arguably not the biggest reason he's garbage there, but yes, he's garbage for multiple reasons.
Covered all the other ones. Obviously, he can't say it's almost nothing, but this is what they're trying. They're sitting there, they're huddled under a table, hoping that it holds up to the earthquake.
Somebody just said, is horrible says, Fashion Police, new TDR segment. Don't make me bring back trendy or trashy. I'll do it. I used to have a fashion segment. Anyway, okay, so yeah, absolute garbage. They're going to continue lying in the run-up to the election. Again, the stakes in terms of coronavirus, if Trump wins, is hundreds of thousands of additional deaths. But also, him and Eric, what they've been plugging on the show, to me, reads as they sort of get that the door is shutting and they are trying to extract as much clout as possible on the way out. Like they're stuffing snacks in their pockets as they leave the venue. Anyway, those are our garbage people, but what about Dragon Squad? Many of you, 22,000 of you went and voted on the community tab of our YouTube channel. And let's see. In 5th place this week is Tiffany Trump at 4% for pretending to be an ally of the LGBTQ community. In 4th place, we have Mark Meadows at 5% for his not controlling the virus comments. I had forgotten about that. That was crazy. In 3rd place, you have Mike Pence at 8% for continuing to hold super spreader events, even after his own office is now riddled with coronavirus. In 2nd place, you have Jared Kushner at 16% for being an unqualified idiot, which was more on display this week than normal, but was no more true this week than normal. But at number 1, 67% of the vote, a dominating win for the GOP for rushing through Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation, and then quickly adjourning because that was the only thing they cared about. Garbage. Absolute garbage. And by the way, thank you to Norma, who apparently created that trashy emote. I hadn't known that. I love it. It's awesome. And you can get it by being a Twitch subscriber at twitch.tv/TYT. Get access to that and a bunch of other emotes that a bunch of people have made. Anyway, Brett, thank you for joining us through that supersized show. One of the last shows remaining before the election. We're going to be doing Common Room together later on. That should be fun, right?
Yes, everybody check it out tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Yes, it took me that long to add 3 to 6. So there's that. And I do want to thank everybody on Twitch who joined us on on game night last night, because that was super fun. More to come, and we will. And again, we played with a lot of you and some of the people that we had just read in chat. We got to actually hear their voices, which was super duper awesome. So thank you, and big thanks to the Brooke Marks, who I will thank later because she is my wife, and that means back rubs. But for setting it all up, there was a lot of moving pieces, and everyone who was very patient. She laughed in the other room. That doesn't happen very often. But there were a lot of moving pieces, so thank you for having patience with my technological limitations at the beginning.
Exactly. It was a lot of fun. Like you said, getting to hear people's voices, getting to be killed by mods. That was fun. The mods actually won the first game, just right off the bat. And looking forward to playing that game more in the future, but also potentially, like, if we're branching out, maybe we can
Trash is the mod. Yeah, sorry. And Bandito's in here right now. I love it. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah. No worries. Anyway, Brett, thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
And for those of you at home, let's read a few more of your super chats, tweets, and comments. A lot of super chats today. Kai Allen said, sorry to repeat a super chat, but I just wanted to ask if you could speak on why it is important to vote for Biden on the working family party line if you're voting in New York State to spread AOC's message. Well, we're down to almost no time, but I will say that if you are in New York, just Google AOC and working family party line, and she does give a good explanation for that. And Kai Allen, thank you for raising that. Do appreciate that. Let's see. F. Harvey says, what up, TYT fam? The world has mostly gone fascist mad. Love from France by the sister you wish you never had. Thank you. I really appreciate that. A guy from chat said, John, call the bike shop. How do you know about that? Nora says, receiving Dragon shirt on Monday. I shall wear it on election day. Meant to be. I'll let you guys know if I can still get laid. A reference to Francesca's comment from a few weeks ago. It hasn't hurt me. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, Douglas Goodall says, you are great. I really like listening to you. Thank you. And Sierra Black, thank you for your super chat as well. Simon also told me to call the bike shop. Okay, I'll call the bike shop. Thank you. Vixen says, I tweeted our COVID-19 mascot last night, John. Please tell me what you think. I assume it hashtag TDR Live. I'm going to have to search back and see that. Thank you. George says, unfortunately, y'all don't carry my size in shirts, and my head is too massive for a hat, so here's some cash. Thank you, George. Yeah, I apologize. I think it's a vendor thing. It's the platform. I wish that they would expand that, but thank you. Charles Massey says, what is this whole Dragon Squad situation all about, and why am I compelled to buy a shirt, said Charles in his most janky of jank voices. I want to get jank in a Dragon Squad shirt. We need to make that happen, producers. I want to see that on the main show. Atticus says, John, just put on a French accent and ta-da, you're Frenchie from The Boys. You know, it's funny that you say that because when watching The Boys this last season, I noticed that he does do the same sort of facial hair to hair length that I do. He's arguably cooler, though. He runs with a cooler crew, if that's possible. But thank you. A True World Revolution said, bought a bottle of champagne and a bottle of Jack for next Tuesday. Which bottle I drink depends on TDR and TYT's mood all day long. Same. Joe Walter says, immediately after TDR today, I will be going to mobilize.us to join the Biden brigade, making get out the ballots phone calls. Joe, that is awesome. Everyone, that is certainly an option for what you can do over the next few days. You can also vote if you haven't already. You shoulda, but do it if you haven't already. JNL says, I just got my TDR shirt. It's so soft and comfy. You should all buy one. So I just bought my Dragon Squad shirt in purple. Very nice. Love you guys. That's awesome. I didn't even see that we had purple. You guys have more knowledge about this than me, but thank you. Frank Diaz says, hey there, John and Brett. I enjoy watching you both together. Great progressive voices for progressive minds. Always look forward to watching TDR. Thank you, Frank. I really appreciate that. Okay, Benny said, losing won't save us from this false prophet. Demagoguery plus Q-trash plus evangelical validation equals literal cult with Trump as divine figurehead. Yeah, so I agree with Benny. Biden winning on Tuesday does not fix all of our problems in a lot of different ways, both in terms of fixing all the damage that's been done, but also Trump is still going to be there. QAnon is still going to be there. We're still going to be fighting that fight. I just don't want them to be in charge in the White House and the Senate while we're fighting it. Let's see. Midwid says Purdue got dog walked 100%. Outrunning Aaron says single mom in the suburbs for Biden. Thank you. You know, it's funny. They had we talked about how Trump had been saying that he put all of the suburban wives' husbands back to work. They just had a new ad, and it's a woman in the ballot box thinking about who to vote for, and she's thinking about Biden. She's like, higher taxes, I don't know. My husband is trying to get a job. Like, they're really driving home this message that women are only worried about their husbands getting work. Brandon says, Casual Fridays with John and Brett are the best. Thank you. Thank you for joining that. Shanna says, so is there an investigation into Purdue? I can't imagine what would have happened if one of us normal folk had done something like this. So if you're talking about in terms of the taxes, no, they're all scot-free. They're totally fine. You can still own stock, buy stock based on the secret information you have. Something needs to be done about it. AOC raised a stink about it when it happened, but I don't think that it's gone anywhere. And it's crazy. They should not be able to own any stock. I don't care if it hurts them financially. If you make the choice to serve in government, serve the people, not yourself, not your own financial interests. You can make money later someday. They all inevitably do. You don't have to be cashing in literally as you're going to committee meetings. That is insane. Okay, let's see, Bart said, one of my good Halloween memories was I dressed up as Han Solo in the 6th grade. It was dope, and I looked like a badass. You know what? I'm still a badass, you dig? Bart, we got to see a photo, man. Come on. Let's see if we can dig up some TYT Halloween photos to show. Okay, Horrible says, these mall ninjas always showing up with random weird weapons to scare attack people. There was a dude a while back with a gauntlet with like 2 blades on it. Live action role play for them, but it's dangerous since they really believe they're BS. Horrible. It's funny that you say that on Twitch, because I'm fairly certain that Brett had the guy with the gauntlet with the blades as his garbage person months ago. I'm pretty sure that happened. Obi-Wan Kenobi said that was sweet, Brett. Thanks. Thank you, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Patterson for Progress says Team Erlich in the house. I don't like it. Naughty Queen says, my worst Halloween, I was in 5th grade like my friends, but I got taken for a high schooler, or that time my mean girl friends in high school bailed on our plans to go to a party I was not invited to. That's sad. Sorry about that. There are some adorable dogs in Halloween costumes available on Twitter. If you search for hashtag TDR Live, I'm very much enjoying them. I got a tweet from Gabby who says, if Trump isn't trying to coerce the Supreme Court to throw the election for him, he's definitely laying the groundwork to strong-arm them into allowing himself to pardon himself after he loses on Tuesday. Honestly, I'll take it. I have no expectation that there will be any justice in regards to him anyway. So as long as he goes, that's fine by me. And Unprecedented Madness tweeted, my day has been done. Dragon Daddy has acknowledged my existence because I tweeted to Unprecedented Madness earlier. Thank you again for watching. Everybody, for all week, it was a big one. Biggest week in TDR history ever, which is nice. It's a silver lining as the country goes to hell. But thank you for riding the destruction of Earth, or of the country at least, with me. That said, next week is election week. Prepare yourself, not for one show, but for the full week. We're going to be starting things off with Francesca on Monday. And then there's going to be a supersized 3-hour damage report on election day. I'm going to be starting off with Anna Kasparian. Eventually, Cenk is going to be joining me, as well as a surprise co-host, an awesome progressive candidate, big name that you're going to be very familiar with, is going to be joining us in the 2nd hour of that. So definitely prepare yourself to be watching those shows live next week. Until then, thank you. Stay safe. Stay sane out there. I'll see you soon.